So let me talk a little bit about the handouts. This is a coloring book that the Jeffersonville Public Arts Commission published, and it features art that Jeffersonville Township financially supported or commissioned. It doesn't include all the public art in Jeffersonville because some of it was sponsored by corporations or private citizens, but this includes the art that Jeffersonville commissioned, and they have a real nice insert in the middle, a 4-page insert that features where you can find public art throughout Jeffersonville. It's really nice. Hey, how you doing? Good to see you. They did a utility box project where they had 35 different utility boxes painted. We're only going to see a small sample of them in our presentation, but if you're inclined to find them all, they're listed in here, including several other murals and sculptures. So you're welcome to have this, and I've got several of these. If any of you want to take an extra one for your kids or grandkids or nieces and nephews, you're welcome to take these home with you. This other handout, thanks to Nolan for printing this out for me, it includes thumbnail images of most of the slides that we're going to see today. It has where they're located, who the artist is, what the name of it is, and sometimes it indicates like what year it was installed. I encourage you to look at the art in person. There's an excitement that comes with discovering it and seeing it. Some of these outdoor pieces are so large in scale. That's very impressive as well. You might see a neighborhood you've never been to before. You might meet some residents that have been inspired or affected by that art that you can talk to. But more importantly, you're supporting the artist when you go see their art. They may not know you're there, but on a spiritual level, they're very appreciative that you're out there looking at it, because artists live to have their art seen and experienced and enjoyed. And you never know, too, if you like the art and you end up telling someone about it, there might be a ripple effect that results in one of these artists being commissioned for another project, or maybe even having some of their art sold. So I would encourage you to go find it in person. There's a lot of it that's all around us. In this presentation today, we're only going to see a small portion of all the public art that's out there in southern Indiana. So what I'm going to do today is give a brief description of what public art is and is not, and then after that we're going to go on a tour of public art in southern Indiana, beginning with Jeffersonville, working our way over to Clarksville, then New Albany, and ending up at Mount St. Francis. And if you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand or make eye contact with me, or just jump in whenever there's a pause. I'll try to answer the questions the best I can. Okay, Nolan. Nolan's my clicker today. We had some technical issues. So our first piece, we're going to be talking about what is not public art. Like anything related to art, it's kind of hard to find like a concrete, specific definition. There's a lot of like nebulous, kind of shifting definitions. For me, public art boils down to 3 factors. One is that it's free. The second is that it's in a public space. And the third is that it's easily accessible. Okay, I'm going to elaborate on all of those in a little bit. This beautiful mural is by Riley Greger, who's with Straight Edge Creative. It's a design company in Louisville, and he's done several murals in Jeffersonville. This is at the Jeffersonville Aquatic Center. There's a companion piece featuring a jellyfish, which is just as colorful and large and beautiful. But this is not public art. And the reason for that is because you have to pay to get into the Jeffersonville Aquatic Center. And the Aquatic Center, therefore, is not a public space. Okay? Now, if you go to the very back of the Jeffersonville Aquatic Center and look through the fence, you can see it. But you have to see it like close up, like to really enjoy it. Yes, ma'am.
The one on 8th Street?
Yes.
It's a swimming pool. I've never been there.
Yeah.
They don't call it a swimming pool anymore. They call it an aquatic center.
Yeah.
But you can pay to join it.
Yeah. Well, and you can pay to just go in one day, too. Thank you. Next one. This is an installation that was at the Falls of the Ohio. Annie Mitchell was the artist, a light artist. She installed these LED lights to kind of mimic the riverside of the Ohio River. And there were several of these, and there was also some music by a musician named J.D. Rickle. So you go in there and you hear this really interesting music, and it creates like this meditative state. And she's noted a lot of research that shows like how it affects you emotionally and psychologically. So it was a real interesting exhibit. I got to help install these, so I got to get to know her a little bit, and I interviewed her for the podcast. But this isn't public art either. And the reason for that is you have to pay to get into that space. And the Falls of the Ohio is normally a public space, but for this exhibit, all of this was like curtained off. You couldn't get into it. So that's another example of not public art. Could you do the next one? Okay, has anybody seen this building? You do? Do you know what it is?
Well, the orchestra played right in front of it 2 nights ago.
That's right. It's called the Justeca Cultural Center. And in my opinion, this is a hidden gem in Jeffersonville. It's real close to the Amazon Fulfillment Center. It's free to get into. It's open to the public, but it's not easily accessible.
It's because nobody knows where the hell it's at.
Well, even if you know where it's at, you have to set up like a tour, and it's only like on certain days and times. They need to know how many people are coming. They need your email address. You just can't drop in and see it. But it's worth the effort. It's really fantastic. It's a gigantic contemporary art collection. Could you click the next one, Nolan?
So is that down past the roundabout?
Yes. These are just some of the art that's in there that I sampled from. So anyway, in order to be considered public art, it needs to be free. You don't need a ticket. You don't need a QR code. You don't need to make a reservation. You don't need to provide your email address. You can just show up and it's there. The second is it has to be in a public space. That could include things like hospitals. Jeffersonville City Hall has an art gallery. This library has an art gallery right around the corner. This is a public space. Universities are a public space. Churches are a public space. So anything that the public in general can access is considered a public space. And then the third criteria is that it has to be easily accessible. Okay. Nolan, could you do the next one, please? Y'all know what this is, right? It's in St. Peter's Basilica in Rome. Does anybody know where this is? Yes.
Graceland Cemetery in New Albany.
Kraft Graceland, that's right. It's one of the few exact replicas of the Michelangelo's Pieta in the United States. Now, this is free to go to. It's in a public space, but it's not easily accessible. It's in what's called the Chapel of Memories, and it's just kind of a roll of the dice if the door's open there. They won't open it for you, but if they happen to have a funeral service going on, you're welcome to come in there afterwards and check it out. Now, my father and stepmother are buried there, so every time I go visit their gravesite, I check the door to see if it's open. And 2 weeks ago, it was open. And I was so ecstatic to go in there and get some new pictures. Could you do the next one?
Whereabouts in New Albany, downtown?
No, ma'am.
Slate Room?
Yeah.
No, it's Griffin Road, Old Ford Road. We're Old Ford.
You know where the Kroger's is on Charlestown Road? There's like a Wendy's and then a Kroger. If you go a little bit further down, it's on the left.
I've seen that, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, these are some photos I took when I was in there. But so this is free. It's open to the public, but not easily accessible. So it's right on the border of whether or not it's public art.
Is it same scale as the original?
Yes. Yeah. It's quite amazing to be that close to it. You know, the one in Rome, you can't get close to it. It has a barricade in front of it, or a glass barricade, because someone tried to damage it years ago with a hammer, I think. Has anybody seen this place? This mural? This is on the north side of the Community Action of Southern Indiana building. It's called the Claysburg Community Garden Mural by Casey Jackson. This was installed about 5 years ago, I'd say. Right around the corner from it, does anyone want to guess what's right around the corner from it? Right here? A community garden. Yeah. And so this is a type of this is public art because it's free, it's open to the public, easily accessible. We could go look at it now if we wanted to. There's no burden, there's no hurdle that prevents us from seeing it. This is a form of community or public art where the artist will consult with the community to see what's important to them, see what their values are, and then the finished art product reflects those values and that community identity. Not all public art does that, but there are some public art, it only fits in that neighborhood because of what it's saying. Okay, could you do the next one? This is called Circum. It's down at the Ohio Riverfront in Jeffersonville. The artists, their names are on your handout with the thumbnails. The artists wanted to communicate what Jefferson once stood for and kind of projecting where it's going in the future. So this is another example of public art. It's free, it's in a public space, it's easily accessible, and it also has a connection with Jeffersonville. I mean, we could put this in Indianapolis, or we could put this in Columbus, Indiana, for example, but it has particular meaning at that location. And that's another interesting thing that public art does. Next one. This is what it looks like at night, lit up. Next one. Has anybody seen this guy?
Yes.
This is called Swing. And there was a student at Jefferson High School. I don't know why she got the opportunity to do this, but her family had farmland, and next to the family's farmland were baseball diamonds. So the Jeffersonville High School welding class put this together to kind of look like something organic growing out of the ground like her farmland, and on the end of each one is like a baseball. And it points in the direction of where her family's farmland used to be. So that's like another example of how they try to integrate it with the community. Again, this is free, public, easily accessible. Next
Well,
one.
it might be pointing to the Little League baseball.
That's what it is pointing to, towards the river.
Yeah.
Has anybody seen this one? You did? It no longer exists. But the artist, I actually helped make this, which was quite an experience for me, but the Jeffersonville Public Arts Commission, they used to have these what were called jam sessions. It stands for Jeffersonville Art Making, where they would bring the community in and participate in the process too. So each one of these panels represents a different neighborhood in Jeffersonville. It wrapped all the way around. And that was a lot of fun too. He used this carvable clay. You would like slap it on, and then it would dry like within an hour or something. And in the process, while it was drying, you could carve in these designs. It was really fun.
Where was it?
That was right across from the vintage fire station where it used to be located. And it's gone. Yeah, they had to do something with the sewer lines. And they had to move it, and the way it was constructed, it was going to, the whole thing would like, it wouldn't withstand that. It had like the head was attached to the torso, which was attached to the base, which was attached to this. And the artist said, just get rid of it. There's no way we're going to be able to preserve it. Yeah.
Did he do an art show at Jeff?
Yeah, Brian Somerville.
I remember that. It was upstairs.
Yes, in fact, he gave me this as to like for helping him out. You can like see kind of like his style there.
Is that Mayor Mike Moore there?
Yeah, that's Mayor with the big scissors. Yeah, that was like a ribbon cutting event. Yeah.
That was when he had hair.
Yeah, and we encouraged him not to run with those either, So we asked him just to walk. So next one, no.
I do. It was a very impressive. It was big.
Yeah, it was real big. So these are some features of public art that this is a list I came up with. It's free to view and is meant to be seen by everyone. So we can contrast that with art that might be in a museum where you have to pay an admission. Now, not all museums require an admission, like 21C in Louisville doesn't require an admission, so that would fall under public art. Plus, it's easily accessible. You can get there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
What about the Speed Art Museum? Can you still go in there?
On Sundays, you can. The rest of the week, you have to pay an admission, and then if they have a special exhibit, you have to pay an additional fee. And that's wonderful, but it doesn't fall under the definition of public art. Hello, thanks for being here. Outdoor works can be larger than usual because when you're doing a public art piece that's outside, you can just be as large as you want. Some of these murals we're going to see are the size of a building, the side of a building. It can take many forms, including mural sculptures and performances. Like, do y'all do Shakespeare, in the park, or Kentucky Shakespeare? Yeah, that's an example of public art. Even though it's not like a painting or a sculpture or a mural, it's a live performance, but that's free in a public space and easily accessible. It can be permanent or temporary. Some of these works we're going to see, we find out later were temporary for whatever reason. There's some that we've got some sad stories with them, but I'll share those with you. And there's another one too where Joe Autry did an ice sculpture, which obviously was temporary. He did that last December at the depot, and it was an extremely hot day. It was like in the mid-50s in December, and he couldn't even complete it because everything was melting. So public art can be temporary. It's one of a kind and not mass produced, and it transforms everyday spaces into something special. Next one.
I think by that definition, you would say what are they called? The Fridays where they have the music in downtown Jeff? That would be public art.
Yeah.
Because it's free, it's accessible.
Exactly. And Clarksville's having a summer concert series too at, I think it's called the Bolton Tie. They've got some music there too. Yeah.
So that would under that definition be public art?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so what we're going to do now is give a little tour of some Jeffersonville public art. Yeah, go ahead. This is at the Indiana Visitor Center, and the artist was Ellen Witt. And a lot of times when mural artists do these kinds of like greetings at a visitor center, they'll include elements of the community. So we have like the Lewis and Clark statue here, the walking bridge, Spring Street, etc. Next one, please. Thank you. Jeffrey's Journey. This was by Amanda Hobach. And what she did is she created these little small statues of a fish that she named Jeffrey. And from the NoCo Arts District down to the river, she had these things like hidden along Spring Street and some side streets. So the idea was to kind of go on a scavenger hunt to find these. And unfortunately, some of these have been taken. And I don't know if they've been replaced, but if you'd like to see what one looks like, they're a little bit bigger than this. She gave me this because I helped her out with that a little bit. Next one, Nolan. These are some bike racks throughout Jeffersonville. This is in front of, what's it called, Cluckers, by Michael Wimmer. This one's called Jack Rack. This is in front of the Nahan Field House. It's called Indiana's Game, and this is Be Yourself in front of the Jeffersonville Library. Most of us know who's on the left, right? Lucille Ball. Does anybody know who this is? Very good, very good. Can you note that so they can get some extra points? Cass Elliot from the Mamas and the Papas. These are mural paintings by Damon Thompson. During COVID, he was bored. He was looking for something to do to keep his art skills sharp. So he volunteered to paint the entire side of someone's house or garage. Sometimes the resident would tell them what they wanted to have painted. Other times he just came in with his own idea. And these things you can see, this is like literally 2 stories tall. This is at the end of Mechanic Street. I happen to know the owner of that house. And then if you're standing and looking at Lucy, Cass Elliott's like right on your right, kind of catty corner. So you can see both like standing in the same place.
What street did you say? Sal?
Mechanic, going towards the river. It's on your handout where all these are located. Does anyone want to guess who this is?
Taylor Swift.
Think odor. Well, this is a clue. Damon, when he was doing his COVID project, he focused on what was called Sirens of the Silent Screen. So his initial paintings were silent screen era actresses, but this is actually Vivian Leigh, most famous for Gone with the Wind. And on the right here we have Carol Lombard, and I think she was born, it's either Fort Wayne or Vincennes, one of those two.
There's Fort Wayne here. So.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Next one. This is Alice Terry. This painting no longer exists. If you look real closely on this, you'll see that this is a composite of 2 photos. And the reason for that is that the owner had a big pickup truck parked in front of her every time I went there to try to take a picture. And sometimes the car would move, the vehicle would move, so I was able to put 2 pictures together. They don't perfectly line up, but it gets the job done. But she was another silent screen actress, and I'm assuming that the new owners just didn't want to have their garage looking like that. Next one.
What street is that on?
I think that's on. Does it say on the notes where she is or she was?
No, it does not.
I don't think I included that in the handout because it no longer exists and we can't see it anymore. I think I have it in my notes somewhere.
Is that just spray paint? Is that
Yeah, he just does spray paint. It's really incredible. Like he,
wear out quick? Does like the sun beat it down?
it fades a little bit, but a lot of these mural artists, they put a kind of a clear coat over it to withstand like the ultraviolet radiation and things. Can you do the next one, please? Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Again, Damon Thompson did this one too. This is real close to the courthouse on Court Avenue. The address is in your handout. It's real beautiful. And next one. He just painted this one about a month ago at the IMCO machine parts. It's on Spring Street right across from the Fine Building. This used to be just a solid black wall, and look what he did to it. And I did a podcast interview with him too on this particular painting, and the daffodils have great significance for him. That's why he picked them. Next one, please. Okay, Hauser Hardware. This one's called The Hardware Warrior, again by Michael Wimmer. And he made it out of old tools. You know, if you look real closely, you can see like gears and pieces of metal and stuff. And on the right here, that's Tommy and Bill Hauser who run Hauser Hardware. This no longer exists either, unfortunately. The Hauser brothers told me that people were trying to detach this from the wall. It's like anchored to the brick wall because they were trying to harvest the metal. And I don't know where the rest of it is. It might be in Michael's studio. Could you do the next one, please? Down by where the Kingfish is, yeah, there's a flood wall that has a series of murals. Here's one of the Hauser family. The only 2 I know here is Tommy and Bill. I assume that these are other relatives. And it's got the name of the artist in your handout. Could you do the next one, Nolan? The Nahan Fieldhouse mural, also on that flood wall. This is called Earthship Bench, and it was built by the Jeffersonville Arts Alliance members and the Jeffersonville community. It's at Steamboat Park, 320 Division Street, and it's made out of recycled material. These are like wine bottles and beer bottles, and it's like a bench you can sit on too. Next one, Nolan. Okay, this is an untitled piece. It's at the former Southern Indiana Visitor Center. It's by Salvatore Trevero. I spoke to, I think his name was Jim Epperson, perhaps, who's like, did I get the name right? Thank you. He informed me that that structure, that piece of art's going to stay there. They're not going to move it, but it has a very interesting story. It was originally at the Green Tree Mall, and Jim told me that they had an issue with the artist. I don't know what the issue was, but they ended up putting it in storage for about, I don't know how many years, but they brought it out in 2005. And if you look at it closely, there's three like rectangles here. And when they put it in storage, they deconstructed it and they didn't know how to put it back together. So they saw a photograph of how it used to be, and these engineers from, I think it was like a Knights of Columbus or the Kiwanis Club, they were able to figure out how to piece it all together. And when they set the pieces in, it perfectly balanced. So anyway, that's a real striking piece of art. I really like that a lot. Next one, Nolan, thank you. This is at Falls Landing. You know where the McDonald's is on the, where Spring and 10th kind of come together? There's like a Starbucks there. Well, right across the street is this new Falls Landing Park, and the designers, they put in like this tinted glass, and when the sun comes through, it creates like a colorful display on the floor. And then at night, they uplight it, and so the light's going this way, and then it creates a different effect. And so that's really neat too. That's just opened maybe about a year and a half ago. See the next one, Nolan? As a part of Falls Landing, they have a sculpture trail that you walk through, and they have like these pieces of sculpture about every, I don't know, probably every 20, 25 yards or so. The only artist that I was able to figure out was Joe Autry, who did this one. And he says that the name of this one is, let's see, The Rising and Setting Sun on the River is my favorite time of day. Hey guys. And this is really neat too, because when the sun rises, it can like line up with this here, and it creates like a real interesting effect. And then when the sun sets at certain times of the year, it lines up with this and creates a real interesting effect too. Next one, Nolan. This is Thomas Jefferson. That's right on Court Avenue. I think the artist was Guy Tedesco. Yeah. He did this at the Mount St. Francis Foundry. And next one, Nolan, thank you. Right behind it is what's called the Timeline of Liberty, which is this 3 panels, and I think they're 7 by 17 foot, and they depict like important free thinkers and humanists throughout history, beginning like in the antiquity and going up into the age of the Enlightenment. And that artist's name was Lorenzo Gigleri, I believe. Anyway, that's worth checking out too. Could you do the next one? These are some like close-ups of it. But it has like people like Benjamin Franklin, Thoreau, Aristotle, Plato. This one is down at the foot of the Big Four Bridge. It's called Cityscape, and it was done again by the Jefferson High School welding class. It's it tries to evoke skyscrapers. Next one, Nolan. Now this one has particular meaning for me. It's called Zephyr. And again, this is at the foot of the Big Four Bridge. It was by Louis Mayer of Fall City Iron Works. And the reason this one's important to me is because this is where I discovered the Jeffersonville Arts Alliance. They were having like a ribbon cutting event, and our arts administrator in Jeffersonville, her name was Dawn Spiker, and she was like leading it, and I walked up to him and said, "What's going on here?" And she told me all about it. She says, "You ought to come check out the Jeffersonville Arts Alliance." And so anyway, that like kind of opened my creativity and interest in public art. These individual elements here were constructed by students, and this is what's called a kinetic sculpture, like when the wind blows, these things rotate. Thanks. This is just down at the Big Four Bridge, these light towers, and each of those towers, does anybody know what they represent? There's 4.
Flood level.
The flood levels marked on them, yes. Yes. Do you remember what the 4 cities are?
Cleveland, Chicago, Louisville.
Cincinnati and St. Louis. I remember them based on their baseball teams. I can remember the baseball teams. But this one, I think it's public art. It kind of veers into this area of like architecture, where architecture and art overlap, but I think the colors and the lights make it art. So that fit our bill. Next one, Nolan. Okay, this one is at the NOCO Arts District. It's called Perceptual Perception, and it was painted by Will Sieg. Nolan, would you mind sharing your little anecdote of who the artist was? That's kind of interesting.
I was just telling him we had a patron last year tell us that he was responsible for painting this thing, and clearly was not the person responsible for painting it. I was trying to take credit for it. So.
Yeah. So this used to be a nondescript, kind of bland, teal-colored water tower, and this is like a focal point of Jefferson now. People come in from Louisville and all the region just to check this out. About 10 years ago, there was a lot of discussion on what to do on the inside of it. And there were suggestions about making it an art gallery or maybe making it a movie theater. I don't think anything's ever come from that, but Will, he has like a little sign in the front of it where he describes like what all of these elements represent. Like there's different colored eyes, that kind of represents different races of humanity. You've got like wings that kind of represent our spiritual side, so there's a lot of meaning to this too. Could you do the next one, Nolan? Thank you.
Can I ask a question
Please.
about that?
Yeah.
Is it true that the person that painted that only has one arm?
He has 2 arms, but he only has use of 1 arm.
Okay, I had heard that.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing.
Yeah, pretty amazing. Yeah. In front of this is a utility building, and Jeffersonville put out a call to artists, and people submitted their ideas. And the winning submission was by Jenny D. Benedito, and it's called Ammonite. And these are like a type of shelled mollusk type animal that you see at the Ohio riverfront, at the Falls of the Ohio. I helped paint that. The submission that I put in wasn't accepted, but hers was. Next one. And I like this photo too because it shows these storage containers that Will Sieg painted, well as perceptual perception here. And then in the distance, you see these tubes. They used to be like these white PVC tubes that were also painted, and they're called Reach by Lacey Torrealba. When we look at those in just a minute, you'll see like these octopus tentacles reaching up. Next one. And these are the storage containers that Will Sieg did. It depicts going like from, this is the first one, and as we progress here to here to here, it's like it goes through a day cycle, where you can see more like nighttime elements here. And he described in his artist statement that this comes from the same world as the water tower. The water tower painting evokes more like an aquatic theme. This evokes more of a land theme, but it complements the water tower. And these are just storage containers where the city and the Jeffersonville Public Arts store their stuff. Next one. And again, these are the those tubes, those pipes. You can see the octopus tentacles there. And these are some sample images from a mosaic that wraps around the NOCO Arts building. And this was done during a jam session. Did you help with that?
I did.
Can you
My
just
daughter and I worked on the railroad spikes.
Can you describe what that jam session consisted of?
We just went in and picked an area that we wanted to work on, and we were instructed on how to build a mosaic. And, you know, you can stay as long as you like. We stayed a couple hours, and we did that whole section with the railroad spikes.
Yeah.
It was really interesting to watch it all come together, and everybody that comes to town, I take them and show them and say, I was a part of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was very cool.
Yeah, and there's a lot of symbolism with this too. Like this egg here represents like Jeffersonville's creativity about to hatch, you know, and then you've got like the Ammonites over here. The waves up here represent the Ohio River. And then, I'm sorry, is it Vicki? Debbie was talking about the railroad spikes right here. Next one, Nolan. And right across the street from the NOCO Art Center, they have what's called Picasso Point. This is an aerial shot of it when it was brand new and the colors were popping and they didn't have weeds overgrowing and everything. And then I think it was a 5th grade class at one of the local elementary schools. They helped construct these Picasso on a poles. There's about 10 of them altogether. Could you do the next one, Nolan? Here's some more. You know, they're kind of fun. Next one. And very close to that, do y'all know where the Clark Museum is? Yeah. It's kind of across from the Fine building. It's not too far from where Walgreens is on Spring and 10th. But as you're going south on Spring, you see this mural by Shelby Riley. It's called Art World. And it's like, this is the entrance to our Cultural and Arts District in Jeffersonville. And she did a real good job with that. Next one. On the other side of that wall, Will Sieg painted this mural, and it's called Cosmic Energy. This is inside what's called the Depot. Could you do the next one, Nolan? Will Sieg did these as well. These are just old storage containers that are now used as art galleries or like pop-up markets. These are inside the Depot. Now, sometimes the Depot is closed, but you can see these from Spring Street or Michigan Avenue very easily. Could you do the next one, Nolan? Yeah, that's just a detail of one of the storage containers. And the next one, Nolan. Yeah, that's just another detail. Thank you, Nolan. Next one, yeah. And inside you have this love mural. You can see that through the gate if the depot's closed. You can see that. For the sake of me taking this photo, I wish they would remove this tree. You know, but since then, I've discovered a little app on my wife's phone that can remove stuff, so I might give that a try. You do the next one, Nolan. Okay, here's an example of how public art can be temporary. This is Joe Altree. He's a renowned sculptor in New Albany is where his studio is, and you may recognize his work throughout southern Indiana and parts of Louisville. But he did an ice sculpture that day, and that was the day where it was like 50, mid-50s, and it was melting as he was doing it, so it didn't last long. Next one. This is on the north side of the Clark Museum. It's untitled. It's by Riley Greger with Straight Edge Creative, and he's trying to evoke Jeffersonville's travel and transportation history. He's got the steamboat. Further down, there's like some trains. This is massive. I don't know if any of you have seen this. This is like massive. And in terms of how artwork impacts the community, whenever I go in that neighborhood to try to take a picture of it, people in the Fine Building, they see me out there taking pictures, and they come out and start talking to me about it, and how much they love it and how much it's like transformed their community. Next one, Nolan. Right around the corner from that is this one, the Clark County Museum, and this depicts a gosh, I'm blanking on the name of this. This was called Jeffersonville. Is it on there, Nolan?
Robert Taylor, Jeffersonville Colored High School?
Yes, Jeffersonville Colored High School is what it was called. African Americans, I guess it was like in the late 1800s, early 1900s, were not allowed into regular public schools. So this gentleman created his own, and he was the principal of it. So anyway, it's really nice that they have that at the Clark County Museum, you know, because it kind of speaks to our history. Can you do the next one? These are the two murals, like just how they're situated side by side. Can you do the next one? And the restroom right behind that, this is the restroom. It was just a, you know, simple little building, but Riley made it a work of art. Again, by Riley Greger, Straight Edge Creative. Next one, Nolan. This is called Bark Jeff. And it's like a boarding home for dogs. And the company that did this, it's called Often Seen, Rarely Spoken. And we're going to see them again when we get to the Clarksville section. If you're in Louisville on Broadway, they have a 2-story Bark Louisville mural that's like looks very similar to this in terms of style, and it's huge. Next one.
This one, yeah, this one's on 10th Street, right?
Yeah, yeah. And this is called, its nickname is the Hubcap Lady, but it's officially known as the Winds of Change. And it's about, I think it's about 20 foot tall. And this one's a little harder to find, but it's worth the effort. Has anybody seen this? Oh, okay, good. So you all know where.
Almost hidden.
Yeah, yeah.
It's moved, hasn't it?
No, I don't think so.
Has it always been in the same spot?
Jeff didn't want.
It's by Kitchen Compact, right? Is it?
Yeah,
Where those,
yeah.
where those railroad tracks
Yeah,
go
yeah.
across Dutch Lane.
Yeah.
I thought it got moved. I don't know why.
I wish it would be moved to where it was more visible.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's really unique.
Yeah, there's a poem. Could you go to the next slide? There's a poem. We won't go through it all, but it kind of talks about like the strength and character of women and mothers, like how important they are. Next one, Nolan. This is called The Jeff Running Man by Michael Wimmer. It's on 10th Street, the north side of 10th between Mechanic and Penn. And it shows this man coming out of the ground and then sprinting and then getting to the finish line. And the idea is that Jeffersonville is making progress, going forward, you know, advancing. This is an image I got off the internet. I don't think these figures are actually that close. It's kind of hard to get them all in one image, even with a wide-angle lens. But I took these closer up. They're big too. They're probably about 15 feet tall. Next one, Nolan.
Yeah, I was surprised it says on here, some of them weigh up to 1,600 pounds.
Wow. These are two sculptures. The little girl on the left, her name is Lydia Abigail, and this is in front of a park that's dedicated to children that have like special needs. Lydia, I think she had autism, and she was living with her grandparents and ran out of the house and unfortunately got hit by a vehicle. And I think she was only 6 years old when she died. So anyway, they dedicated this park for her. And then this is called A Helping Hand, and it's right in front of City Hall at Quartermaster. I don't know the artist, but the mayor at the time, Tom Galligan, actually purchased this for the city. And it just shows a child like lending a helping hand to another child. Okay, these murals are at the Maxwell's House of Music, and they're massive. They're by Braylon Stewart. Could you show the next one, Nolan? Yeah, so these two murals are like attached to each other, but they were so big they wouldn't fit in one picture. Yeah, these were only about maybe 7 or 8 years ago is when they dedicated these. Could you do the next one, Nolan? Joe Autry did these pieces at one of our newer parks. It's called Shirley's Arbor Park. And they're not actually that close. You have to walk maybe about 100, 150 yards to get to each one. But they have like a sculpture trail that goes around. Joe uses a lot of wood and natural material. He doesn't use a lot of metal or even a lot of color. So these were kind of a departure from what he normally does, but I really like them. I think they're real beautiful. Use the next one. And then Jeffersonville has a sculpture trail where they installed these sculptures in different neighborhoods. I think there's maybe 10 altogether, and I'm going to show you 4 of these. Joe Autry did this one. Could you show the next one, Nolan? And the addresses for these, too, they're included in this, and they're also included in the coloring book. And then here's a few other ones, too. This one was done by Jenny D. Benedito, and this one was by Michael Wimmer. Next one. These are just some of the utility boxes. Again, there's 35 of them, and for those of you who got here late, in the insert in the middle here, it has a map of where all 35 are located. And this is what's called the Nolan Grow Garden. It's at the Jeffersonville Township Public Library on the 2nd floor. The artist was Donna Shaw, and she created like this interactive experience for children. They go to like these different stations, and there's like things for them to do. And I've taken several of my great nieces and nephews there, and they love it. Next one. This was by Barney Bright. It's in the lower level of the Jeffersonville Library. It's a beautiful sculpture. It's untitled, but it's trying to evoke prehistoric kind of life forms that came out of the Ohio River. Next one. And Carrie Johns is a mural artist. Most of her work's in New Albany, but she painted this mural at the Kroger in Jeffersonville. So this qualifies as public art because it's in a public space, it's free, it's easily accessible, and it depicts all sorts of Jeffersonville-related images. You got the aquatic park here, Allison Lane, Howard Steamboat Museum, Big Four Station, walking bridge. And the gears represent like citizens of Jeffersonville working together, like under the scene to get things done. This is the Be Kind mural. It's on the side of the Orange Clover down there at Water Tower Square. I don't think this was completed yet. I don't know what the story is on that, why it wasn't completed. Next one. This is by Often Seen, Rarely Spoken. It's untitled, but it depicts like Jeffersonville's connection to rail lines. You see like these train components there. Next one. And this is at the Jeffersonville Aquatic Center. They have a skate park there. You can see kind of an octopus here. There's been some graffiti added since it was originally installed, and it's kind of faded. So it has like this washed out kind of feel there. Yeah, when they did this, they opened it up to any graffiti artist that wanted to come down and work on it. No one. And then we're closing up on Jeffersonville here. This was an example of this was some art that was at the Jeffersonville City Hall about 2 months ago by Adam Barmore. It's called At a Minimum. He tries to evoke a Jeffersonville-themed element using as few lines as he can. So we have the water tower here, one of the, is it heron birds? And then this is the East End Bridge with a tornado going on. This exhibit's no longer there. There's a new exhibit there that I wasn't able to get pictures of in time. And then at the hospital during COVID, some Jeffersonville artists reached out to the staff and asked them, like, what's on your mind during this COVID period? And these were the words they came up with: stress, battle, breathe, faith. And there's a particular term for this kind of art, and it's escaping me, I apologize. But as you walk down the hallway, this disappears and then this appears on the other side. It's really neat. This is on the first floor of the hospital. Next one, Nolan. This is a recent exhibit that was at the Jefferson Township Public Library by Debbie Fisher. Next one, Nolan. And this was another recent exhibit at the Jeffersonville Township Public Library. This one was by Anne Herndal Owen. I didn't get to meet her, but her artwork was fantastic. Next one, Owen. Okay, does anybody have any questions about Jeffersonville? We're getting ready to move on to Clarksville. Okay, let's go with Clarksville now. Now, Clarksville has an organization called the Clarksville Arts Alliance. I'm a member of that, even though I'm not a Clarksville resident. So they're trying to get some public art in Clarksville as well. This is a mural by Damon Thompson. It's on the south side of the Savoy Fitness Center, right across the street from the Bolton Tie. And this is massive. This photo really doesn't do it justice in terms of how massive this is. But just like the one for Southern Indiana, each letter includes something that's kind of Clarksville and Southern Indiana related. Do the next one. This is by Often Seen, Rarely Spoken, and it looks very similar to the one we saw in Jeffersonville. Down there where 65 and the Orange Clover and the Bolton Tie are, you can like step over here and now I'm in Clarksville. Now I'm in Jeffersonville. And so even though the same artist did this one and the one we saw before, they're in different townships, even though they're very close to each other. And that has some of the railroad themes in it. There's an apartment or a residential area called Current 812. It's just north of the flood wall. And when the residents look down towards the flood wall, all they see is just bland concrete. So the owner of the building, or they commissioned Often Seen, Rarely Spoken to do this massive mural. It's so large it could fill up two screens. But then they've got again, these like Clarksville-centric themes like the Clarksville clock, the Colgate clock, Rosie the Riveter, the trains, and they have some buffalo and some other elements on the other side. At the Bolton Tie, they've got like art throughout that building, and this is just a few samples of some of that. There's Rosie the Riveter, like right across from the Widow's Walk. She's got some roots in Clarksville. And this statue, they actually had to remove it for a while, and I wondered where it went. What had happened was the base, when it would rain, water would like seep towards the base, and it like kind of damaged its structural integrity, so they had to remove it and correct that problem. But she's back there now. And this is the Lewis and Clark statue right in front of the Falls of the Ohio. Carrie Johns, that mural artist that did that Kroger one, she did this one. It's untitled, but it's at the Nicholas Landing Apartments. There used to be a landing strip up there, like in North Clarksville. And she painted a sequence of 6 murals depicting like this little boy throwing a paper airplane, and it's like going through and it ends up becoming a jet. And I put these together just so you could see the sequence, but they're actually very far apart from each other. I can't imagine how long that took, because you can get an idea of how big each one was. Here's a car, a vehicle right here. So that was a massive project. It's all right. And you can go to the next one, Nolan. Okay, see, I told you Clarksville didn't have much. You missed Clarksville. Yeah, it won't take long to review it, Nolan. Okay, now we're going to go on to New Albany. Does anybody have any questions, comments before we get to New Albany? Nolan, how are we doing on time?
3 o'clock.
Oh, my goodness. Is it okay if we go a little bit over?
Yeah,
Okay. This is by Carrie Johns. It's called Sky's the Limit. It's like in a little alley right off Market. Can you do the next one, Nolan? This one's really fun. It's called Space Cats. It's by David Thrasher. It's in an alley directly across the street from Sky's the Limit. Did you have a comment, ma'am?
No, I just think it's neat.
Yeah, it really
I
is.
think was there a movie like that, Space Kids movie?
I don't know. I haven't heard of it. Could you do the next one, Nolan? This is real interesting. It's at Buffalo Art Park. It's on Daisy Summit Street. In New Albany, like right off of 265, there's like a Home Depot there, and if you go up, you kind of have to go up a hill.
Taco Bell is up there.
Well, it's even further than that. There's like a hotel way at the top of the hill. And if you go see this, you need to be really careful because there's like a blind curve and there's nowhere to park. And,
Big old drop off.
yeah. Yeah, so this is by David Ruckman. Could you do the next one, Nolan? Yes, sir.
Read that. I'll
Yeah.
give everyone just a hint on this. If you were to go see this and stand on the uphill side of it and look between the 2 buffalo, it frames the Louisville skyline.
Ah,
It's a stunning view from
It's a
up
good
there.
view.
It's
Ah.
just amazing, especially in the wintertime, you know.
did not know that. Thank you for sharing that.
Very cleverly done.
Wow, nice. This is by Joe Autry. It's just in somebody's front yard, like on Spring Street, New Albany. Next one, Nolan. This is at Indiana University Southeast. It's called Hope's Arbor. It's in front of the Ogle Center. Next one, Nolan. This is a mural by Andre Krautson. It's called Ohio River, and it's on the side of the old Schmidt Furniture Building. Carrie Johns strikes again here. This is untitled, but it's at the New Albany Token Club. And in this image, she's trying to evoke a lot of good childhood memories of her family and her brothers, like fishing, skateboarding, things like that. Another Carrie Johns, this is on the New Albany Opera House. And you can kind of see coming out of the singer's mouth, you got stars, and it's like, there's like this transformative thing where the flowers start coming. This reminds me of an artist I like from the Czechoslovakia, what used to be Czechoslovakia, Alphonse Mucha, I believe was his name. But I really love this one. Unfortunately, it's faded and some of the paint's chipping off now. Next one, Nolan. This is called Alice in Wonderland, and it's on the side of the Floyd County Brewing Company. And it's faded a lot too. This is an old photo of it. It's faded a whole lot. Next one, Nolan.
Or is this mostly painted on brick? Or is it wood?
I don't know.
I wonder if that makes a difference on how long it lasts.
Yeah. This is called The Search. This is in front of the Floyd County Library. This is by Barney Bright. This is a wonderful sculpture. It's one of my favorites. Can you show the next one, Nolan? Oh, he's like depicts himself? Right here? This is Barney? Okay. This is a close-up. I asked for permission from the person who runs that library if I could come over there during off hours with my ladder and get some pictures looking down, which no one has ever seen. And she gave me permission to, but I haven't been over there yet. I've been busy preparing these lectures. So. Next one, Noah. Okay, this is the Holy Trinity Heritage Park. There used to be an old Catholic church in New Albany called Holy Trinity that caught fire, and they couldn't preserve the church, but they preserved elements of it, like some metal frames, some stained glass, and this is like the entrance to the park, and then they've got these sculptures that are included in it. They're both by an artist named Timothy Schmaltz. This one's called Fruit of Thy Womb, and this one's called When I Was Hungry and Thirsty. This one's really powerful. You can kind of look up and see Jesus' face there.
That stained glass in the triangle survived the fire and was restored by a company in New Albany that does stained glass work.
Yeah. And in the back of the park, there's some other stained glass, and they preserved like the church, the bell too from it. Yeah, next one, Nolan. Now these are all from a small courtyard area that's in back of the, I think it's 2nd Street Baptist Church, the old clock tower church. That's a Barney Bright sculpture called Winged Man. This is a mosaic that was created by New Albany High School called Promised Land. And you can see some slaves here, and they've got like reaching up for freedom. There's some hands there. And then right here we have Lucy Higgs Nichols by David Ruckman. I'm not sure, but I think Lucy Higgs served in the Civil War. You're nodding your head. Am I right on that? Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
She was a slave woman that
Yes.
joined the Union Army,
Yeah.
stayed with them for a couple of years, and then ended up back in New Albany.
One of my friends just published a book on her that came out about a couple of weeks ago. Thanks for sharing that. Next one, Nolan. This is another Barney Bright. It's called Landscape. It's at what's called Centennial Park in New Albany on Spring Street. Next one, Nolan. This is called Pablo the Painter, and it's in front of the Arts Alliance of Southern Indiana building. This is by Joe Autry. It's in front of the Kula Center, and this is called Fork and Cheese. I'm kind of hungry now for some reason. I don't know why. But it's by David Thrasher. Okay, next one, Nolan. And this is at the Floyd County Cultural Center, formerly known as the Carnegie Center. This is an untitled work. We won't have time, but there's like a Latin inscription in the middle here that speaks to the importance of free thought and being able to express ourselves and not have to be censored by the government. Next one, Nolan. This was just installed last week. It's called Vortex of the Tesseract by Jim Johnson. It's in an alley right next to the Born Schweitzer Gallery. This is really massive too. They were doing like a musical performance that night, so I couldn't get the whole thing, but there's words that are actually included in the arms and legs of these figures. I'm really looking forward to doing the podcast interview with this guy. And next one, Nolan. These are just some sample pieces of art that were seen at the Indiana University Southeast Open Studio exhibit that they have every January. Next one, Nolan. This is some artwork that was at the Indiana University Southeast Bar Gallery. Next one, Nolan. And the Floyd County Cultural Arts Center has, every 2 years, they have this quilt show called Form Not Function. And these were just some of the quilts that were there this past season. Next one, Nolan. This is a current exhibit. It's called Retroactive Vision. The artist's name is Joe Scarborough. I did a podcast interview with him. Has anybody seen the first Toy Story movie? Remember Sid? Sid, he would take parts of toys and put them together in real creative ways. Joe does that. And a lot of his pieces are interactive, where you push a button and they move, or there's sound, or there's motion. This is at the Floyd County Cultural Arts Center, which is open throughout the week. It's a real fun exhibit. Next one. And this is another display at his exhibit where he has a bunch of toys from his childhood in there. Next one, Nolan. These are just some samples of art that's at the Born Schweitzer Gallery. That's free and open to the public. I just met the proprietor there last week, Julie. She's very welcoming, very, very knowledgeable. Next one, Nolan. Yeah, it's just some other art that was there a few weeks ago. Next one, Nolan. Okay, Mount St. Francis, and we'll finish up with Mount St. Francis. Could you go to the next one, Nolan? Laudato Si is like a papal encyclical about how we are stewards of the planet, and we need to take care of the environment and animal and plant life. And so that mural reflects that. This is in one of their classrooms. Next one, Nolan. These are just some random sculptures I found on the grounds there. This is called Beatitude. It's Jesus has got his hands extended, and there's all these like flowers and vines growing, and they have the different Beatitudes on them. And this was done by some high school students. This was a recent exhibit in their Mary Anderson Center. It's just beautiful. It's by 3 nuns. Their names are in the handout. But when I went through and saw this, I felt like I was back in the medieval ages. This evokes like that medieval kind of style so well. Next one.
And this is modern art?
Modern? Yeah, it's contemporary.
Wow.
Yeah, the nuns were probably 60, 70 years old, And then every 2 years, Mount St. Francis has a massive exhibit of Penny Sisto's artwork. This is from, I think, 3 years ago. They're planning another exhibit there, I think, this October. Those are just some of hers.
Is that who they have at the new Albany Library, the big quilt up on the steps? Is that one?
Yes,
That's what
yes. And then this is just from a recent exhibit at the Mount St. Francis. They had what's called an open wall night, where we invited college art students to come exhibit their art, maybe hopefully sell some. These are just a few of the pieces from that night. I think that's the last slide. Yeah. Does anybody have any questions about any of this? I know we flew through it really fast.
First of all, just comment, fantastic presentation.
Thank
Thank you so much for
Thank you.
inventorying all this. It's
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
So, question. I look at Clarksville, New Albany, Jeffersonville basically as one entity, all despite the borders. If you take us collectively in our public art, how do you think we compare to peer cities in Indiana, like Bloomington, Columbus, Evansville? Do you know how much they're all doing compared to us?
What's your name?
Philip?
Philip. We've never met before, right, Philip? Philip kind of anticipated my next presentation. I'm working on a presentation now called Exploring Southern Indiana with Daniel Boone. How clever. But But anyway, what I've been doing is I've been exploring all of these Indiana towns and cities, and I look up, do they have murals? Do they have public art? Do they have sculpture? Do they have museums? Do they have monuments? Do they have pretty houses of worship? Do they have historical buildings? So I've seen a lot, and I would say compared to, I've probably been to 15 of these towns and cities so far this summer. Jeffersonville is right up there. Clarksville's got a long way to go. New Albany's kind of in the middle, but I think Jeffersonville is doing great for a community that size. Yeah. Now Columbus, have you ever been to Columbus? Yeah, Columbus is on a whole other level. I mean, that's like an international city, but they don't have a lot of public art. Their main forte is their architecture. But in terms of public art that we're seeing here, I think Jeffersonville compares very favorably with that. Bloomington is, I could spend a whole day or a whole presentation just on Bloomington's art and museums and sculptures. Thanks, good question. Any other questions or comments? Okay.
Is photography your specialty, or do you have another artistic powers?
I enjoy photography a lot, and I try to teach myself how to do new things, and it's all self-taught. I don't have any other like artistic like background, although I'm creating another presentation on what's called curve stitching. I don't know if y'all remember in grade school, like you could draw straight lines that look like a parabola or like a curve, or and it looks like spirograph, but it's all done with just straight lines. So that's something I dabble with too, that I'm planning on doing a little presentation on for the kids. But no.
Well, it takes talent to take pictures that are so clear. And,
Well, thank you.
yeah, I mean, it's just a different genre.
Well, I appreciate that. I'll let you know a little photographer's secret. You only show people the ones that came out nice.
Exactly.
You know, for everyone that came out nice, there's probably some that. Yes, sir.
Well, I was just going to say, I'm relatively new to this area. I moved here from Pittsburgh a couple years ago, and I've seen some of this stuff when I ride my bike on the trails, but I had no idea there was this much, so thank you. I'm going to look it all up.
Yeah, it's really fun to discover these things, and there's a lot that I didn't even include, I didn't have time to include, but in Clarksville, on Eastern Boulevard, as you're going up Eastern Boulevard, there's a series of like Mexican restaurants and Hispanic tax service. Right behind there, they have all sorts of really fantastic murals too that I didn't have time to put in here, but you're very welcome. You're very welcome. Okay, well,
Can you tell, like, so, what's the deal with, I didn't know that this existed. I'm sure I've passed it and just never looked at it. Is that, so that is like just an art gallery? That's what that was put there for?
well, it's called the Justec Cultural Center. They're doing a lot of things to try to, like, you know, the concert, you know, they work on community engagement, and on the first floor and the second floor, it's all like an art gallery. I think they have offices on the top floor.
That's a private company that runs it.
Yes, yeah.
They do open it as long as you can get an appointment.
Yes, yeah. And if you want to, you can tell them Daniel Boone sent you, because I've got a good connection with there's like 2 people there that run the art end of it.
Now, is it local art that they feature, or is it?
I don't think so. I think it's like all over the place. Yeah.
How long has it been open for?
I don't know. I went there for the first time about a year ago.
Wow, so it's
Yeah.
fairly new.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Just making a comment about just the pride of this area. I'm born and raised here, but I've been in the San Francisco Bay Area for 35 years. So I brought 3 of my friends home that have been part of the Burning Man community for 18 years, and also public murals, public art, and just, you know, how happy I was with them to see all the art in this area. And the other comment about the depot, that art and those events just drive young people to want to move to Jeffersonville. It's just, it is a real quality of life booster for young people.
Mm-hmm.
It's also why I've been so happy in the Bay Area, volunteering on projects ever since I moved there. So just, I'm really proud of our area.
Well, welcome back. The Jeffersonville Arts Commission's always looking for new voices and new ideas. So let me just run through briefly what the names of those organizations are. In Jeffersonville, we have the Jeffersonville Public Arts. We used to have the Jeffersonville Arts Alliance that no longer exists. Clarksville has the Clarksville Arts Alliance. In New Albany, there's the Arts Alliance of Southern Indiana, and then Mount St. Francis has Mount St. Francis Arts Advisory Board. And I'm involved with all of them. So that's how I find out about these things. Yes, Debbie?
Where do we find your podcast?
You might want to write that. Do you have a pen?
I do.
It's called Fresh Art. I ripped off Terry Gross's Fresh Air, and I haven't heard from their lawyers yet, so could be because I only have like 15 listeners, you know. But anyway, they're loaded on SoundCloud. So if you go to SoundCloud and you look up Arts Alliance Southern Indiana Fresh Art, you'll see all the episodes.
Okay.
Yeah. I get a new one out there about every 2 or 3 weeks. Yeah, artists are real interesting. They're all like real positive people. They're trying to make the world a better place. And a lot of times we see their art, but we don't get to hear from them. So it's kind of fun to hear what their thought process is. And I'm a clinical psychologist, and I often get into like, what motivated you to do that? You know, like, what were you trying to communicate? You know, and it's like, I enjoy doing it. And I think they enjoy too, like someone listening to what they have to say.
You
Yeah.
might have covered this before I arrived, but are there some funding elements for paint and for material goods for some of these projects, or are they all solely self-funded? How does the funding element work?
Well, I don't know a lot about how it works. I know in Jeffersonville, they'll have like a call for artists, and like the artists will submit their ideas, and then they're like given they're paid to do the work, and supplies are paid for. This guy Damon Thompson, who did the murals, he did all of that for free. The people whose garage or homes he painted, they would provide like the paint, but he did it all for free, and he was doing it just to stay sharp. And since then, it's catapulted him in this region. He's one of the most in-demand mural artists there is, and that mural project he did during COVID is what propelled him to do that. He also self-published a book called Outside Society, where he'll feature each mural and he'll talk about where it is and who it is and kind of what motivated him. And I help out with the Clarksville Arts Alliance, and we have a similar thing where we'll have a call for artists, and then we'll provide money for them that we get through the city. Yeah. Thanks everybody for being here and for all the good questions. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. And if anybody'd like to take some of these extra coloring books home to their kids or grandkids, yeah.
Pay attention to the calendars, because we'll figure out a date for his next program.
Yeah, there you go. Would you like another one? Or? Okay, I got them in a box over here.
So Dan, the obvious question, are you a direct descendant?
No.